News broke last week that Ian Watkins, former singer of Ec-Lostprophets, is gone. Here's the world reacting to the news. It's dark that we could joke about the violent end of someone and cheer it on like a victory, but yeah, that's what it feels like, a big old victory for the universe. For those wondering exactly what the crimes of Mr. Watkins were and why he was in the famous Monster Mansion, a Welsh maximum security prison, just know he was the worst type of predator. The worst. You don't need to know more than that, really. The purpose of this video isn't so much to talk about a man I once referred to as Voldemort, which is a rule I had to never speak his name on the channel or the comments, but it's rather about the band. This video is about the group that this man once ruined. Since Voldemort is gone, which I'll still call him occasionally because somehow it makes it easier, but you can call him whatever you want now, people have been fairly asking if it's worth listening to the music again, as that creep won't be getting any royalties. Turns out also that the Ec-Lostprophets listening numbers on streaming platforms like Spotify, the evil Voldemort of streaming platforms, have more than doubled in the past week. My podcast co-host and I discussed it a bit, and we understand why some people would want to go back as they stopped listening in 2013 when the crimes were brought to light.
The only reason I knew the name was because of this guy, and I hate that.
Me personally, I'm not going to listen to it because his voice was entrenched in all the music and he wrote or co-wrote every song. Again, that's a personal thing. I cannot control how people are going to handle the aftermath of all this, but in my view, this is a situation where you cannot separate the art from the artist. A truly evil person was absolutely a big part of everything musically in Ec-Lostprophets. And this was a band that had made it. For those that weren't around at the time or weren't paying attention to that style in the 2000s, they don't realize that Ec-Lostprophets had a gold certified album, other big certifications around the world, and even performed on Letterman. Ec-Lostprophets had made it. And for a band to make it at that young of an age and have something special with a bigger group and talented members, and to have it all completely washed away, blacklisted, and labeled as such, that's insane. So for the remaining members of the band who tried to move on and make music later, I do wonder if those people who had their careers and lives ruined by Welsh Voldemort feel some type of relief now that the monster is gone.
Honestly, it has to be a sigh of relief because it's a huge monster on your back. No matter what you do, just because you were associated in such close proximity to this person, it's inevitable, unfortunately for you. So this has to be a breath of fresh air, a sigh of relief for the rest of the members in moving forward and moving past this.
I agree with Alex. After spending years on the road with a monster and not knowing how much of a monster they were, worth pointing out, they truly did not know all the terrible actions that were happening with Watkins behind the scenes.
Watkins did say that, like the other band members did not know. The band members swore it. I believe them too. I remember that back in the day. Like, there's no way they could have known a lot of that stuff was going on, especially at the time it was going on.
This has to be some type of cathartic release in some way. And I also agree with our podcast co-host, Rowan.
In hell, you bastard.
Yeah.
There you go.
There are good reasons people have been cheering the death on as the news broke. I would say 99.9% of comments and reactions have all seen this as a good thing. But the discussion about this previous band, that's just never going to be seen as something separate because Watkins is too tied to the music. You can appreciate the other musicians and what they did as part of Ec-Lostprophets and what they did afterward, but that does not make the music easier to accept because you know who is singing and what he would eventually become. To put this in a loose analogy for the pro wrestling fans, the pro wrestling world was quick to point out the evils of Chris Benoit and leave him in the past after the terrible actions he did. Was he a great wrestler? Sure. Does that mean I want to go back and watch Chris Benoit matches knowing the awful things he would eventually do? No, I'm good. That is an apples and oranges comparison, but it helps to illustrate a point. If you were a fan of a band, musician, athlete, actor, and you find out they were a monster, it is possible to leave that in the past. You don't have to make excuses for why you previously liked them, and you definitely don't have to rationalize why you don't want to appreciate their work now. The victims of Ec-Lostprophets singer are endless, and that includes the members of the band. So back to the main question, is it okay to listen to their music? Well, like I said, you can make a case for yourself, but in my opinion, I'm not gonna. Keep in mind as of writing this, royalty cuts might still go to the remaining band members, and that's fine, but that doesn't really take out the emotional sting of everything. This is not like a situation with R. Kelly, where all the royalties for streaming R. Kelly's music go to non-profit charities for survivors of abuse. That is a good handling of how to take a monster's past work and make sure if anyone does want to listen, it goes to something good. Should the same be done with Lost Prophets' old music? I mean, it'd be awesome if Watkins' share could be funneled that way to a non-profit like that, and the other members get their cuts, or if it all goes to charity, but that might be wishful thinking after a monster dying. Normally for videos like this, and just about every video I do, I show footage of the band playing, or interviews, or stills or something. I don't want to look at old interviews of the band and Watkins. I don't want to look at their old footage of them performing. Is that fair that Lost Prophets are a band ruined by their singer? No, it's not fair to the other members, but you cannot talk about Lost Prophets without acknowledging the mess. That'll be the online discourse maybe forever. Even with the streaming numbers increasing, it'll be like a dark listening experience to check out, whether people who were nostalgic and wanted to go back, or people that were just curious. It's still music you cannot disassociate from that much evil. As it stands, this video should be the last time I ever have to talk about Lost Prophets, or man, at least I hope so. It's worth discussing at this point with the singer finally gone, but it's time to move on with a big feeling of closure, as someone who did grow up with the music and wish I hadn't. I still wish the best for every victim of violence and disgusting behavior to everyone that man affected. I wish the best for everyone victim of him professionally as well. Is it okay to talk about the band a bit more now? Yeah, I think so, but it feels weird. But I also want to leave Lost Prophets behind, as the singer is now in super hell. A hell so bad that normal people in hell who complained about him being in hell with them, so they had to make a super hell for people like Watkins. The comment section is open for your thoughts on this mess. Still keep in mind that if you want to be an edgelord and make crass jokes about the worst of this situation, then might as well just ban you. Also, what is wrong with you? We'll go back to regular content and shenanigans next video. Thank you for checking this out. Do hope there's a little bit more closure now because the world has one less monster. And to help brighten some things up, here are some little ones.
I wanted to show multiple little ones at the end of this video just to help take the emotional sting out of everything, or maybe just distract. Spock and Ivan here in my office. Ivan just sitting there like a good boy while Spock bathes himself now. And then we cut to Pearl, who's just sitting on the couch on his mom's blanket wanting to be petted. Pearl doesn't cause any problems, so if he wants to be petted all the time, I'm not gonna say no. He deserves it. Good boy.